to the podcast, hablemos de lo nuevo. For the G's, by the G's, ¿qué pasa en el terreno? Vienen jugadores y se van, traiga lo nuevo, a huevo. Doesn't matter where you from, Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. Todo mi latino, come and listen for an hour. TikTok, que traemos lo que quiere, todo lo que pasa dentro y fuera de las redes. Really? You don't know what it is. Reportamos con la lupa what we see at the digs. En las buenas y en las malas yo diré la verdad. Si cometen un error o tienen habilidad, la calidad del rival cuando viene a jugar. Facts. Yo no me muerdo la lengua. Got love for the crest in the city I came from. Los campeones de campeones y con copas mi race. No empezamos, empurgamos, soy la voz de LA One. Soy la voz de LA One. Love. Yeah.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love for all of you LA Galaxy fans out there in the world, and for all you La Cuna Galaxians, thank you so much for coming back with us today and hanging out and celebrating the LA Galaxy, because today we're going to be reacting to the LA Galaxy's 2-0 home win against Atlanta United on Saturday, August 24th, a awesome affair, a win provided by the newest Galaxy star, Marco Reus. That was a perfect debut and kept your LA Galaxy in first place. But before we get to all that, let me introduce myself. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm Rob Halon. You can find my written work at Extra Time Talk and myself online at El Escudero de LA. And of course, my co-host is here with me, El Yerno Guapo, El Gitano Perdido, Anandita Kirana, who I am very jealous of because he got to take part in this wonderful affair on Saturday the 24th at the digs, and I was far away. I was in beautiful environments, but I wasn't with all of you guys, and I missed it. So, Anandita, feel free to rub it in, man. What was it like? I mean, tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was the only negative part of the day, man, is that you weren't there. I mean, I know you would have had to experience it through the lens of the media and sort of with your media colleagues, but trust me, I'm pretty sure that all of your media colleagues had a blast watching that game, covering that game from where they were. I could tell by, the interactions post-match and some of the tweets that your colleagues were putting out there. So it's just sad. That was the only negative of the day, man. But other than that, I'm going to save that. I know we wanted to talk about sort of the day overall and chat. Feel free to share your thoughts and your feelings and how you guys felt, because I know for a lot of you, it was probably as euphoric a day as it probably was for me. So I'm just going to leave it at that, man. But the one thing I'll say, the one thing I'll say, man, is this was an unforgettable day. And that's going to be my one-word match reaction is unforgettable. Unforgettable.
This fool think he's Nat King Cole over here.
Exactly. Unforgettable. I haven't used that word. I haven't used that word yet. I don't think ever since we started doing this one-word match reaction. So that is going to be my one word. There's probably a lot of words like euphoric that could have described it as well, but just it's a night that you'll look back as a Galaxy fan, and I'm sure we've had all these throughout the days, throughout the timeline of the Galaxy and sort of our pilgrimage to the digs, right? Every Saturday, Sunday, but it's going to be one of those days where you're not going to forget where you were when Marco Reus made his debut. So unforgettable, man.
Yes, rub it in. But you know what? On the flip side, I was swimming with turtles and looking at
jelly.
Blue-footed boobies. So that was fun. So we're still straight out of Ecuador in this podcast right now. We're on the mainland. We're in Quito. We're in the capital right now. So, shout out to all of Ecuador who right now is, watching this pod. Thank you so much. and thank you to, our friends in chat. Big Heck. I mean, I know Big Heck. I was out there in full force with the IEGs and having a great time and having fun. I actually, Leo said that he missed saying hi to you, and I actually saw a picture of him. At that event, and I was like, "Hey, that's Leo." And so anyway,
man, next time just come over, man. I mean, like I said, I'll talk about it later. But there was a few of you out there, and it was nice to see you all. Rosia, the one and only, shout out. Bienvenidos, of course, per the usual. Man, we're getting some one-word reactions here, Rob. So I'm gonna just put them up there. Might as well get into this. Verdammt, ja. That means hell yes in German, I'm
Verdammt, ja.
assuming.
Oh, hell
And
yeah.
the one and only
right.
Rocio, I like the play on words there. Royce-tastic. There we go.
Well, you know, I also like yours because, you know, I've been listening to a lot of bachata and reggaeton and all this kind of stuff since I'm in the motherland right now. And so you threw us back with a really good one on the Prince Royce. So you know what? Anyone out there that you know is digging that Prince Royce, go ahead and throw that on and
yeah. Can I tell you a funny story about that real quick before we get into these well, what do you call it? The housekeeping. A Prince Royce song was actually the first song I ever learned in Spanish when I was learning Spanish a few years ago. So there you go.
Oh man, so you have the connection. Oh,
it runs deep.
Leo says it's Royce Day. I like it. And keep them coming, chat. We love them all. Yeah, man. My one word is just simply FOMO. Simply FOMO.
I love it. Yeah, that's totally appropriate though. That's totally appropriate. I love
man,
that.
it just looked like the days of old, man. Alex says, Kubule, back to yourself, sir. Yeah, man, we just out here celebrating this first place Galaxy. That's what we're doing out here. And so anyway, man, I mean, you were there. I wasn't. There's a bunch of questions I want to ask you, so let's get into it. We do have some housekeeping to take care of. Before you get into that housekeeping, of course, guys, I mean, you guys saw what the man can do, but Ananda and El Profe Alex, who you guys saw at the corner of the Galaxy live show, known there as El Niño, known to us as El Profe, they just dropped their new Los Gatacticos video. So that's episode 2. The question mark, the perfect signing. I mean, you guys saw him play. He might be exactly what the Galaxy need here. So anyway, look out for that video. It is now out. Guys, go check it out. Give big props to Prof. Alex and Anandita Kirana for dropping that one. That's episode 2. Of course, the first one was Gabby Peck. Check them both out. And then Ananda, you know what? Take it away, man. I mean, I'm usually the shout out guy, but I mean, I wasn't there, so go ahead and hit it up.
Well, let's do some housekeeping first. So you guys can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana. Of course, you can find us on all of our socials at Lacuna Galaxiana. If this is your first time watching this stream, welcome. And if you're listening to this on playback from the future, and we are from the past, welcome and thank you for listening. And if you like what you're listening to, guys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to smash up those likes. That's going to be the best way for you guys to support this channel at this moment. So go ahead and do that. And of course, as Rob always says, go ahead and share this to your friends, your family members, your fellow G's, your
loved ones.
Just share the love if they want to listen to more LA Galaxy content and feel as good as we are right now as Galaxy fans, right? We want to share the good vibes, and it's all about vibes right now. And of course, Roberto, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches, y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. Let's get it, man. Let's get into these shout outs. And I guess I'm leading them this time.
Wait, really quick. I do have a real big one.
Go for it.
Bigger than potentially anything we'll talk about today. And it's because of all you guys, man. Like we hit 250 subs. I think we're at 252 right now. So we passed it. We hit it. We passed it. It's all thanks to you guys. It's all thanks to you guys, you know, letting your tias and tios and your loved ones and your friends know, like, hey, I know this podcast. You know what, you guys might like it. And you know what, we made 250. And you know what, to people out there, you know, they might have their million subscribers and stuff like that, but we love who we're riding with right now, man. And thank you so much for riding with us. We appreciate it. And without further ado, Anandita, the boots on the ground, tell us what the day was like, man. Get it, shout outs.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm gonna shout out. I'm just gonna flash this up right here, and this is my first shout out, man. Shout out to not only Raquinho, but the bearer bearing gifts. It's Christmas in August, Robert. Christmas, especially for Roberto. Shout out to the homie G-Cam, who he's in the chat right now, man. And that one's just for you, Gary. Unprompted, unsolicited. I met the great man himself, Robert, yesterday, and it was
I'm
funny how
just
it was funny how this happened too. So like I'm literally there
So
standing
jealous.
there with wifey, right? And we're just standing there like I'm about to go say what's up to Josh, like congratulate him on a great show, blah blah blah, say what's up to the crew, right? And there's this guy standing there, he's like, great show, huh? I'm like, yeah, that was a really good show, man. And then I'm like, hey, if you want to listen to another podcast, we're on after Josh on Monday and Thursdays kind of thing. And then he's like, yo, I'm GCam. I'm like, so like homie just like played me right there. But no, it was
he pulled up on you, homie. He was like, hey,
yeah.
hey.
Yeah. So hey, man. But first of all, like, just awesome meeting you, and thank you again for these cards. Not only gave Rob this one, he gave me some other ones as well. I have them right here in this stack. And hey, good to hear, by the way, that your mom's doing well. She's recovering at home. Poco a poco, right, Papa? And yeah, man, just good vibes. Sending you good wishes and good vibes for that as well.
Yeah,
but so shout out.
You good vibes, man.
Shout out to you, man. I know you've been with us since day one, just like the rest of chat here. So big shout out to you. And then while I was talking to GCam, Rob, there was an older gentleman there that we had a really good conversation. Found out he was visiting from North Carolina, et cetera. And he's like, oh, we should exchange contacts. And even by the way, shout out GCam for this. GCam was like, hey,
Nice.
you want to listen to this podcast? Like, these guys are, if he'd been listening to Josh for a little while. I was like, hey, you wanna check these guys out? And we exchanged contacts, right? And I see his name. His last name to apellido was Lepley. And I was like, sir, are you related to Tucker Lepley at all? And then lo and behold, I was talking to the great man himself, Lepley, this whole time. So if you're listening to this or wherever you are, it was pleasure meeting you as well. Such a great conversation. We talked a lot about his son, and we'll talk a little bit more about him in just a second, right? Because he had a great weekend as well. He had a great day yesterday. So shout out to wherever you are, good sir. And man, I'm gonna give my last shout out here to the LA Galaxy, Rob. Because by all accounts, and I was not, unfortunately, so I had FOMO on this one, but by all accounts, the Galactic Carnival was a huge success. I'm gonna pull up.
Should have told me. I would have just sent you our tickets for this, because obviously I wasn't there. My parents weren't gonna go, so yeah, you should just told me, man.
I know. By the way, By the way, anyone in chat to go ahead and drop your stories from that day as well. But I'm gonna drop a couple here that are sort of close friends of ours, friends of the show. So you have our boy Andrew there from Lacuna Matata. He was really excited to meet Riqui. I guess like they gave out like little like colors or something like that so you can meet, because I think they had them all stationed in different places. So Andrew got to meet Riqui and Miguel Berry, and to the right there, that is a good friend of the show, a supporter of the show, Melvin Rocker. That is his beautiful mama.
What's up,
JP
Melvin?
and John McCarthy. So Melvin, thanks again for letting us use this picture. So yeah, man, by all accounts, it was just a great day overall, and I had FOMO for sure for that, because it looked really awesome. And then there was I saw a couple of videos. I don't know if they're still up yet, but Michelle Hootink, shout out Michelle, wherever you are, from Simply Soccer Pod. She posted some really good IG stories of the conversation that I believe it was Tom Braun, Will Kuntz, and Greg Vanney speaking to the supporters, and they went through a lot of topics, some very interesting notes there as well. So that's all my shout outs, man. Felt good doing the shout outs. I kind of like doing them.
Yeah, you dig them? Nice.
Yeah.
No, you know what, man? Like that's a really cool thing about this administration, quote unquote, is that like you, first off, you wouldn't have gotten events like this back in the day, or if you would have gotten them, you would have gotten like them in different form, and you certainly wouldn't gotten the front office executives out there to talk about the state of the Galaxy. So super awesome that they were there to do that. So yeah, guys, I mean, you guys saw what the Galaxy can do. I mean, they're putting out pretty good events, and they're doing the and GCam actually helped us with this last time, and I'm drawing a blank on the event again, but it's like Fiesta Galactica,
Fiesta Galactica.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
I mean, so that's in October. That's gonna be live, man, and So, and that's not only open to just season ticket members. It's open to everybody. So
Right.
watch out for that. There's GA and VIP for that. But as that one gets closer, I think it's like in the latter half of October, we'll go ahead and let you guys know on the date, time, info. And yeah, but keeping it moving here. This one's big as well. Happy birthday to Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, the one and only, man. I mean, he if you are a Laker fan, just man, you just have this guy in your heart, and you grew up with him.
If you're just a fan of if you're a fan of humanity in general, like you'd be a fan of this guy.
Nah, I've known plenty of Kobe haters out in my day, but they're generally not happy or good people. Or no shade to anybody out there, but they're like Celtics fans or like So anyway, shout out and happy birthday to Kobe Bryant. He's in heaven now, but we're still celebrating his birthday. And not only that, the Galaxy got a win on 8/24 day, so that one was big as well. So happy 21st birthday to Jalen Neal. He also had his birthday on 8/24. You guys know on this pod, I mean, we love the truth to death, man, and it's great to see him grow up before our eyes. I mean, I think the first time we saw him the first time he was like 18 or just about to turn 19, and now he's turning 21. I mean, it's amazing to see him literally grow up before our eyes and become the player he's become. So happy birthday to him. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have happy birthday to the man John McCarthy calls grandpa, Captain Maya Yoshida, who was celebrating his 36th. So just complete opposite ends of the spectrum. With his first time, Maya Yoshida said that he shares a birthday with a center back partner, and I mean, this is a odd couple here because Maya's a full 15 years older than Jalen. Might not be old enough to be his dad, but definitely an older brother. So happy birthday to both of those Galaxy center backs. Good luck to I mean, Ananda. I think I'm gonna open this one up the chat real quick because I started writing this earlier, and I was like, good luck to, and then I was like, damn, who? Good luck to who? Really? Because well, guys, I'm just gonna fill you in. Douglas Costa signed a 2-year deal with Sydney FC yesterday. That was per Fab Romano, and so anyway, I started thinking good luck to Douglas, good luck to Sydney FC. I mean, is Sydney FC going to wake up in 3 months and be like, damn, we got fleeced hardcore? I don't even know. I mean, this guy's been a free agent already for a good bit. So, I mean, when he's on, he's on. I mean, he had a couple of moments there in a Galaxy shirt. We were like, okay, he's not Douglas anymore. He's Doug. But overall, he was disappointing for the Galaxy. And not only that, but I am just upset that this man played like he didn't know any English for the 2 years that he was here, and then the moment he leaves, he's given interviews in English. Anyway, good luck to both of them.
This comment right here from GCam, though, what a fall from grace, just goes to show you where a bad attitude and an ego the size of the moon gets you.
Absolutely.
Enough said.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good luck to both of them. I hope they're both happy. Can't say we didn't warn you though, Sydney FC. Anyway, keeping it going. VCFC, they were in action over the weekend. Their last match, they beat Real Monarchs 3-1 at the Willie Roll. That was on Sunday, August 25th. Good performance by VCFC. They led the entire game, and they capped it off with a debut Tucker Lepley goal. So you did say that we would talk about Tucker a little bit later. Well, here it is. This man scored his first professional goal with the Galaxy, or in this case, VCFC. Congratulations to Tucker. Congratulations, your boy. What was on the score sheet this weekend? That's a big occasion. VCFC is now in third place after 23 matches played. They have 5 matches left in the season. They have an 8-9-6 record and are on 40 points. Next up for VCFC, they are away to Houston Dynamo 2 on Sunday, September 8th. And after that, I mean, they're in the stretch one, just like the Galaxy are. So we'll be bringing you more updates about that and what their playoff scenarios might look like, or what the playoffs are like at all in MLS Next Pro. We'll give you more information on that as we get closer. And this one is
Did we save the best for last? Did we save the best for last? I think we did, right?
I mean, depending on who you are. Delicious to a lot of people, for sure. I mean, to cap off a truly wonderful weekend in which we saw a 21st Jalen birthday, a Cappy birthday, a debut from a German star. The Galaxy maintained first place. Them set a bunch of milestones that we'll tell you about in a little bit. There was also another big match that happened on Sunday. It was the culmination of the League's Cup. There was two familiar teams happening to go head to head in that one. Columbus Crew versus LAFC. Another final for these two, and yet again another trophy for Columbus Crew over LAFC, who, you know what, maybe didn't give them the shellacking that they did at BMO a couple weeks back. However, this was just another one of those matches that the Columbus Crew held pretty much from start to finish, and they punctuated it in injury time with a couple of injury time goals. So congratulations to the Columbus Crew for winning the second iteration of the League's Cup. LAFC is now 1-for-5 in Cup finals in club history, and this is a factoid brought to you by our good friend Favi Rankel, which I'm calling Favi Facts. Whenever I bring you something from Favi, you're gonna get a Favi fact. So anyway, he let us know that more than 1.31 million fans attended League's Cup matches in 2024, with a record-setting average of more than 17,000 fans per match. So a lot of people out there, don't dig League's Cup. I mean, has its detractors, it has its things to work out, but I mean, people are undeniably consuming the product with an average of 17,000 people per match. So congratulations to the Crew again. Not everybody can win finals. That's all I gotta say. So Ananda, let's get into this match, and let's get into the build-up and the atmosphere and like what you saw coming in and stuff like that. Man, tell me about the day, man. Like, really, I have to rely on you so hard for this experience, because I wasn't there, and even though I wanted desperately to be there, like, and I imagine it, I just wasn't. I wasn't boots on the ground. So I got to live through you, man. Tell me about the day. Like, what's the first thing that you saw? Like, you said that you were there for the live show. What was the experience like building up to the match?
Yeah, and chat, by the way, Rob's gonna lean on you guys too. So go ahead and put your little anecdotes, anything that you
tell me,
anything that was memorable about the day. Go ahead and put this in the chat, and this is like Vibes FC right now. Like, right, we're just sharing vibes, right?
Yeah, no, honestly, like, I want all your stories. I want to hear it all, honestly. Decime.
Well, so I got there because I knew the live show was going to start at like 5:15 or 30-ish. I think there was a start time. So I got there about 5, parked in lot 11. So went through there. It wasn't as packed as I thought it was, but there was a lot of people out sort of tailgating already, Rob. So that atmosphere was already there, and it was awesome. So we walked over to Galaxy Park. By the way, that was, I think, the second time I'd been to Galaxy Park. It is a beautiful little location. I think I'm going to commend Tom Braun and his team and the development team for putting that together, man. That's a beautiful little like place for the community to gather, right? And it was a perfect setting too for a live podcast. And so Josh had his little setup there, and man, I know Leo was there, GCam was there. I think that was just a huge shout out to Podfather and the crew, man. I think To pull something like that off is not easy. I mean, even to pull something like this off, Robert, with you and I
Ooh,
remote
got him, champ.
remotely, right, is it's not easy. It's work. And so just hats off to Josh and everyone that was there. So obviously Panda, Sophie, Hammer, Alex, just the whole
Another
crew was
reason for
there.
my FOMO.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, they touched on a lot of really good topics. Of course, they had two really good guests there. AJ De La Garza, Galaxy legend, University of Maryland Terrapin, which I am as well. So that hit close to home. And then of course Tom Braun. And one of the highlights, man, was Tom Braun actually I'm gonna pull it up right now. Tom Braun actually gifted the whole crew there. You see on the right hand side of the screen, the retro kit with their names on it, or their nicknames on it, right? And it was funny because Tom said that they ran out of N, so they couldn't put Canon on the back of Sophie, so they just went with Sophie. So a little womp womp there, but no worries. It was all in good fun. By the way, I wish if someone has a video recording of Hammer's, like his little match preview, like skit that he always does, Rob, because obviously you knew that Purina was the sponsor, right?
Oh yeah,
He pulled out all the puns, man. Like the puns were going left and right, from everything from like he's got that dog in him to, you know, it was rough, like just all of that stuff. And Hammer was he's just a genius when it comes to that stuff, right? So shout out Hammer for that. And then Rob, they by the way, you would have been distracted the whole time because there was dogs running around everywhere, so all the pups were out.
And I wouldn't have played a lick of attention. I just would have been playing with dogs, honestly.
And they had this little skit where they pulled up. By the way, there were some dogs for an adoption, and I just heard on Corner of the Galaxy that one of the dogs actually got adopted. So shout out to whoever the new owner of that new pup is. That's some beautiful pups there. But they actually like pulled some of them up, and they play this game where it's like the handler was giving them the dog's personality, and then the crew had to pick a Galaxy player that matched the personality of the dog, right? So that was nice. Super cool. So again, the day started off well. You know, the meet and greet, just like talking to everyone. By the way, shout out Dave from LA is our house. We sat next to him and his beautiful family, and we hung out as well. So yeah, it's just vibes, right? So show was over. We pull up to the stadium. I had to have been about 6:30 or 7 or so. And just, man, like walking through the turnstiles, like you would probably, okay, this is where I have FOMO because I missed the first game of the season. I would imagine that the euphoric feeling that I had walking through and like just seeing everyone was probably the same excitement that you saw opening day against Miami, right? Although it was probably a little different in that it was a little diluted. There's a lot of Inter Miami / Messi fans there, so it wasn't like total like Galaxy fever. But I could imagine that was the case because I walked in, and it's funny because the Corner of the Galaxy guys talked about this, which was it felt like opening day again. It had that vibe to it, whereas like there was something on the horizon, something new, something fresh that people were looking to. And you could see that excitement from all the people. Like there's a lot of kids there, a lot of families, Rob. And just, you know, pulling up to my seat, I look around, and this is probably right before the DJs were playing. So that's about like 7:20-ish or so, 7:30, something like that, right? And the stadium was packed. Like it was just packed. People were happy. People had smiling faces on them. Of course, some of that, you know, probably dealt with some liquid courage, right, for some of those. But no, man, everyone was just having such a good time, and the vibes, it was palpable. And I agree with what they said. We were saying on the Corner Galaxy. It felt like opening day. It totally did. And that's probably the best like comparison I can give you, Rob. Because again, I wasn't there for opening day, but it had that like anticipation about it because we knew that we had a blonde assassin on our team from Germany. And I think everyone, it was funny because maybe it wouldn't have been that way had we gotten that announcement that Marco got his visa and he was ready for selection, right? But it happened, and man, people were just stoked. People were amped for sure.
FOMO, the worst FOMO, the worst FOMO ever. The one and only Rocio says the Comets tailgate was so much fun. I met a lot of beautiful people, danced, ate, and drank. Thank you to Matt, Christine, and Lars for hosting. Shout out. Man. I mean, I saw the Ghanaian fans out there living large. What was that like?
Oh man, that was amazing. So I was like sitting next to the Lars section, and I'm just gonna pull them up right now because shout out to, because I believe it was I think Black Galaxy fans had a tailgate with them as well as part of like the heritage evening. But man, they were an absolute vibe all game, Rob. So you know how like the Lars, they have their drummers and stuff, but they brought their own. You could see their instruments right there.
Yeah.
And I have the video. I'll probably clip it up and post it up on X at some point. But dude, it was a vibe. Like it was so funny because at one point, like shout out Mike, by the way. Mike was like, hey, wait, don't start yet. And then everyone behind was like, no, let them cook. Let them cook. It was so funny, man. Like, because they were just vibing like really, really awesome rhythms and beats and stuff. And you would have been, I think we sent you the video. You would have been, vibing and bopping your head as well. So it was awesome. So shout out to all of them. They really, I think I saw JP post about this too. They came out in full force and he felt that support. And it was palpable, man, for sure.
Well, I don't know if you saw the video, but JP after the game got with them, and he got to like share some time with them.
Right. Yeah, that was where the photo is from. I think they took that photo upstairs in the Amex lounge. So
yeah, man. I mean that's awesome that the community's coming out to support JP as well, man. So like I said, I'm just sad that I wasn't there to partake in it. I did get to talk to GCam a little bit today through chat, and he was trying to kind of like lift my spirits. He's like, there's gonna be a lot of more opportunities, and I was like, yes, 7 more games to make big memories at. And so you know what, I'm just glad that everybody was there and had a good time and got to enjoy the atmosphere and made good memories. And you know what, that was even before the game started.
Right
now, and so then the Galaxy go out there and they take care of business. So let's get into this match. Ananda playing the first game since their League's Cup elimination, returning to MLS play. The Galaxy earned a 2-0 shutout win at home over the Big A Atlanta United FC. Riqui Puig scored the game-winning goal off a Marco Reus assist, who also scored a goal in his LA Galaxy debut before a sellout crowd of 25,000. That's the LA Galaxy's first shutout in 8 games. They've won 3 consecutive MLS matches dating back to July 17th. That's the 3rd time this season they've hit 3 consecutive games. So congratulations to Greg Vanney, because you know what, he hadn't done it before with the Galaxy, and this time they've done it a couple times. I think they've gotten to 5. I want to say 5.
Can't remember. Yeah,
someone fact check me, but it's definitely 4.
Breaking Ducks is here, right? That's what Sophie was saying during our episode with her, and
absolutely,
that's a sign of good things to come.
Yeah, man, and I did say we would tell you about some LA Galaxy milestones here, and this is why the LA Galaxy is just the LA Galaxy and not, whoever your club is. No shade, but the Galaxy became the first team in MLS history to win 400 matches in regular season play and 915 MLS matches. The Galaxy holds a 546 win percentage, a .546 win percentage. Their record is now 400, 316, 199. And with this sellout against Atlanta of a little over 25,000, the Galaxy became the first team in MLS history to host 10 million fans in regular season play. Now, that's for those of you guys saying that, or for the MLS critics out there, they're like, nobody watches MLS. Lies, data, son, maths. 10 million right here. And again, that's LA Galaxy,
Yeah.
And 457 all-time MLS regular season matches. They've hosted 10,024,253 fans at the Rose Bowl and the Digs, which have been both their homes. Both Rose Bowl's still their home. And then Riqui, he scored your game-winning goal. He scored in 3 consecutive matches dating back to July 17th. That's 3 goals and an assist. However, the Prince, who was promised, won't be out there to play with Prince Royce against St. Louis on Sunday, September 1st, due to yellow card accumulation. Ananda, at least this time it was a yellow card for like, play rather than just like dissent. So I will give him that.
I was actually, that was one of the, because I keep like a running tab of game notes, like a running log, and I even wrote in the notes like, Riqui actually made a tackle. Like, he made a tackle. I don't care if it was a yellow card. Like, he actually had the drive and like the intent of making a tackle. I don't know if I've seen that a lot this year. So big up to you, man. Prince was promised for sure. I was really excited about that. I was actually really excited about that yellow card.
Well, be as excited as you want. He misses the next match against St. Louis. It's an opportunity for Reza to kind of have the keys to the LA Galaxy attack. However, it's an opportunity missed for these two players to get that understanding with each other. Marco Reus has played less than 30 minutes in the LA Galaxy shirt, and I think that they need that time. They did wonderful together, but I mean, imagine how much better they will be when they have the time together. So Riqui will be a miss. I don't know if he'll be a big miss. The Galaxy have demonstrated an ability to win without him. So can they win? Absolutely. Am I sad that he won't get to play with Marco Reus again until September 14th at El Tráfico? Absolutely.
I'd rather miss him. I'd rather have him miss St. Louis than LAFC. I'll tell you that much, Rob. So we kind of got lucky there.
Well, yes, absolutely. But I mean, if if you've been up on Prophet Alex's stats and data for El Tráficos, Riqui hasn't created a chance in the last 2 matches. So
I'm sure Riqui would be pleased to hear that. So
I mean, he's already coming after Alex. I'm safe for the moment because he's coming after Alex. So anyway, keeping it going here for these game notes here. Jalen Neal, the birthday boy, he completed 99 of 103 passes for a 96% pass accuracy rating. He recorded 2 clearances and won 3 possessions. John McCarthy, he had 4 stops in his 6th shutout of the season, and Miguel Berry, playing against his former club, played in his 100th career MLS regular season match. Ananda, the lineup, I mean, was the same starting lineup that lost terribly 3-1 in the last Leagues Cup match at Seattle. Did you see this one coming in terms of the lineup?
I think we talked about it a little bit in our preview. Given the injuries, given that we don't have Nodeki at the moment, Julian Aude is still out. I think this was a predictable lineup, right? This was the last lineup that we had against Seattle that lost up there for Leagues Cup. And this is this is the strongest lineup that we have at the moment. Of course, Royce was a new addition. We expected him to come off the bench. But other than that, yeah, I would say no surprises, right? And again, I think for me, it was just important just to see how the lineup would shape out. I think you can start seeing as we talk about this match a little bit that, JP at the number 9, that's not his natural position, right? And for us to be firing on all cylinders, we need a natural number 9 in that number 9 position. Because especially in the first half, you could kind of see that JP, and I think Greg made a point about this post-match, he was, not in the normal number 9 position, which kind of discombobulated the team a little bit in their attacking flow and their attacking rhythm.
How about you hit us up with some stats that won this match here?
Yeah. Do you want to go through the match sort of narrative first with how the goals happened, or do you want to go straight into the stats, Papa?
Let's go straight into the stats here.
Cool.
Because we have some Royce magic to talk about here with these plays.
Yeah, let's just get stuck in, right? So here's the match stats, guys. The Galaxy, I'm just narrating this for the audio listeners, but for the video watchers, you could see the stats there on screen. So LA Galaxy is in blue and Atlanta is in that maroonish red color. Pretty dominant game by the LA Galaxy, right? This is sort of what you want to see. This is a typical LA Galaxy performance in terms of how dominant we were in possession, 70% to 30. Rob, we had 4.2 expected goals versus their 1.03, 20 total shots versus their 17, 8 of ours on target. And here's the thing, 7 big chances versus 0. So that tells me 2 things. One is our offense is firing, or we ended up getting our offense fired up mainly in that second half with the addition of Royce. But secondly, we're now limiting the opposition into their big chances. Look at that, Rob. 0 big chances. That, to me, honestly, that makes me happier than the 7 big chances that we had, because we'll talk about the defense in a little bit. That goes a long way to keeping clean sheets and to improving your defense, right? So that's huge. The possession
can't
stat
score
as well.
If they don't have chances.
Exactly. And again, passing just punctuates the point a bit more about our possession, right? 763 passes to 287. Here's another stat I'm going to bring up, Rob, and this is going to be a minute one, but hear me out. 3 corners for the Galaxy versus none for Atlanta United. Remember one of the last pods I was talking about our set piece defending. Our set piece defending, right? We were 4th most in the league of giving up corners. And the reality is, if you don't have corners and set pieces to defend, then you don't have to worry about set piece defending.
Yeah,
right?
you don't have to worry about conceding.
Yeah, and it's funny because Greg Vanney in one of those clips that Michelle posted on IG, he mentioned something about that, controlling the game possession wise and not having to have so much emergency defending, so then that leads to those corners, right? And so that's part of it is, okay, when set pieces happen, sure, there's physicality and man marking and all that stuff, but let's try to limit the amount of corners that the opposition has, right? And that comes with controlling the game possession wise, limiting your emergency defending, etc. So we have to give up corners. So those 2 stats, the big chances that they didn't have, 0, and corners, 0. That's a recipe for success for this defense.
I think Greg will be more happy with those 2 stats than anything else.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean,
I think so too.
He's such a big defense guy that like he'll be like, yeah, we got 3 points, but look at this, and probably the rest of the team is going to be like, yeah, whatever, Greg.
Right.
We won 3 points. Guys, in 13 matches played at home, the Galaxy have a 10-0-3 record. They are still undefeated at home, making, or at least the Digs, they did play a home match at the Rose Bowl this year, which they lost against LAFC. But at the Digs, they have a 10-0-3 record, undefeated at the Fortress Digs. They have won 8 consecutive matches there, and they have outscored their opponents 21-9, dating back to May 25th. In that time, the Prince who was promised, Riqui Puig, has 12 goal contributions, 6 goals and 6 assists, and in 11 league matches played at home. So he's producing. I mean, last year he spoke about how he wanted to have an MVP season. Man, he's producing. He's doing that thing. But you know what? This is just like what we will remember in retrospect, because the vibes were great and the Galaxy came out with a win. But if you listen to this press conference, Greg even said there were moments there that we didn't know if it was going to happen. And in this first half, I totally get what he was talking about, because for me, the Galaxy looked rusty. Atlanta had a couple of different chances. They were, just inviting Galaxy pressure onto them. I mean, Ananda, as you mentioned, Galaxy had the ball 70% or there around. So Atlanta was inviting pressure and content to look to hit on the break. And it almost happened. For as much as we mentioned the Leagues Cup earlier, and I told you that I wanted to make a point about this, and here's my point about this tournament and the Galaxy and the participation in it. They looked rusty because they simply didn't play a meaningful match in 2.5 weeks. Yes, they had a scrimmage against Phoenix. I don't know if that's Phoenix Rising, but they should have been playing in meaningful matches. For as much as people want to say the Leagues Cup is a whatever tournament, it's a Mickey Mouse tournament. It has like cup berths at stake, and not only that, it keeps your team sharp. I mean, that's all I really got to say about that, man. I mean, they could have and they should have won a trophy there.
Yeah.
But for a terrible performance against Seattle. So I mean, they came out and they looked rusty.
I'm not surprised, because remember when we talked about the predictions for this match, and I believe GCam said it as well in chat, we predicted the 2-0, and I said a 2-0 at the end, but I thought we were going to come out sluggish because I thought we were going to come out more rusty than fresh. Now granted, some of our roster, like Maya, for example, some of the older guys, they needed this rest. This was a huge advantage for them. But like you said, practice is practice. You can't simulate a game unless you're in an actual game, right? So I had a feeling, and that's why my prediction was, I think we're going to come out the block sluggish and kind of more like, not slow, but I said measured and calculated. And it was the case. Like, we were passing it around, but none of that incision until, this guy that we're gonna talk about pretty soon came into the match, right?
And here, para que veas que si te hago caso, loco. Watch, I'm going to bring up something that my co-host said last week in one of our pods, and he was talking about how we wanted to get out to a lead so that Marco Reus wouldn't have to come in and you know, kind of like put the team on his shoulders and play hero ball and kind of like lead the team to victory. And unfortunately, that's kind of what happened. But credit to Greg for making the right subs at the right time. And you know, he turned the game in the second half when he brought in Miguel Berry and Marco Reus, and I believe there was a third substitution there as well, Gaston Brugman. He brought in all three of those players, and I mean, if Atlanta was having trouble coping, and when these players came in, it just became too much for them, and immediately you could see that Marco Reus was on another level. But it's funny because Riqui is on another level as well, but it's at a frenetic pace and faster than everybody, and Reus is not faster than everybody, but he just slows time down around him. It was so interesting to see the play develop around him and him just make people just be like, okay, I guess we're going to see where this is going to lead now. Let's take it a little bit slower. So, I mean, that's exactly what happened on the first goal. Reus gets the ball on the right channel. He slows the ball down, slows the play down, picks his head up, and just cool as you like, slips it over to Riqui, who cannons it in for the 1-0. You know, and just a couple moments later, this cat he gets the pass in, shoots on frame, but right to the keeper. He gets his own rebound, and again, cool as you like, just really no one even around him, and you would think like, hey, Marco Reus is on the field, let's kind of mark this guy. No, he's just all by himself, and I think that's part of his experience as well. You know, knowing where to be and you know where to pop up and how to pop up and use the space. And yeah, he puts his own rebound away for the 2-0, and I heard it be called the perfect debut. But Ananda, I really liked your question to me, in which you were like, if you were to write a headline for Marco Reus's debut, what would it be? So I want, you know, to ask chat as well. Chat, if you were to write a headline for Marco Reus's debut, what would it be? Ananda, what would be yours?
Oh, I want to listen to yours, man, because you're the journalist here. I'm just the fan, right? But I have one, and I kind of want to get your take on it. But anyways, I want to hear yours because yeah, you're the journalist here, not me.
All right, so my top head would be like, it would be something like Reus lifts Galaxy to Reus lifts Galaxy to 2-0 win over Atlanta. Then like the subhead would probably be something like former German champion enters to propel Galaxy to a 2-0 win, showing his quality and class in reduced cameo or something like that, to that effect. But yeah, man, we have him rolling in right here. G-Camp says Reus and Co. roll over Atlanta. One word debut. XPH says one word debut equals Hollywood.
Yeah. Speaking of XPH, so quick PSA. So guys, speaking of greatness, the great XPH, 16 listeners and only 8 likes. Come on, people. Let's show Rob and Ananda some appreciation for all their work. Thank you, sir. So go ahead, PSA guys, hit those like buttons, smash them up. Thank you. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Back to our regularly scheduled program. Yeah, man. I mean, this was a something to remember. I mean, like you said, you know, where were you? People are going to remember, like, where were you when Marco Reus debuted with the Galaxy? You know, this is, I mean, I know where I was. I was in a hotel room in Guayaquil, forcing everybody around me to watch the game. And then they were like captivated when they watched him come on and play. They were like, oh, dang, who is this? And it was awesome. So just like Scott W says, one word, awesome. Yeah, I agree. But Ananda, give us yours. What is your headline?
Yeah, you know what's funny? I actually wrote, because I wanted to talk about this, and it was when we were in the parking lot just trying to get out. I took a second and I wanted to write this, and maybe you would appreciate this, Rob. I'm not a journalist or writer by any means, but I wrote Marco Reus, the new conductor of the LA Galaxy Symphony. And
Hey, I don't dislike that. I like it a lot.
and this is like this came as a surprise to me, right? So he entered that game, Rob, and he instantly became the orchestrator. Like everything good went through him. He was the conductor. And for a guy that maybe I didn't watch him enough, I thought he was more of an attacking player. I didn't realize how much of a tempo setter he was, right? Like it's just everything good. He, like you said, he was in the right places. He was in between the half spaces. By the way, guys, go ahead and check out that video that Alex and I did because we talked about this a lot. Is he finds those spaces, those pockets of space where you need to be incisive in the final third, right? We talk about that a lot. And I'm going to go back to a comment that we sometimes bring up on the show. You brought it up before, Rob. Greg, in his system, he talks about creating numerical and time advantages, right?
Yeah.
Marco Reus is the perfect. He's tailor made for that, right? He's calmness, he's calmness and composure personified. And like I said, he surprised me. You know, the other crazy thing is he did all this in half speed, bro. Like he didn't play out of second gear. I felt like he was like, and I'm not gonna say this in a bad way, but like, was he really trying? Like it almost felt like he was barely trying, and yet he pulled off like a masterclass 20 or some odd minutes or whatever, right? It was insane.
And then more context, he hasn't played in 2 months.
Yeah.
And then more context, he's only like 70% fit.
Yeah.
So imagine when he's, game fit at 100 and he knows his teammates and their tendencies. Hopefully, he'll know all that by playoff time. But we have some more headlines coming in from the hot off the presses from Rocio. She says, Royce, an unforgettable night for the books.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was an unforgettable night. XVH says, on a side note, he couldn't help but notice all the extra security on the field. Scott W agrees. I know it was crazy, so many security. Ananda, did you see a lot of security? You're like,
I don't know. I was having too much fun, man. I was vibing too much. I was having too much fun. I didn't even pay attention, to be honest.
You were going off with the Ghanaian fans, like
exactly. But if you were there, you would tell. I think Leo was probably around. Hell yeah. Dude, it was madness. But we were texting about this, but and you brought up a really interesting point that I want to bring up to chat as well, which is just his impact on Riqui's game. And by the way, this is again in the video. I'm glad we're talking about this, man, because this is in our scouting video as well. But what did you see in terms of his relationship with Riqui, how they're going to benefit each other moving forward? That was the biggest takeaway for me on that aspect.
Well, I'm just going to reference something that Greg said. He basically said that Riqui was buzzing around everywhere, picking up the ball deep and then, getting it to Royce, to kind of like carry out the attacks from there. Greg said that Royce unlocked Riqui. And I loved that because no longer does Riqui have to get deep and pick up the ball and advance it and then make the play as well. Yeah. But he can, if he wants, which, Greg has said a bunch of times that he doesn't want him to do. But if Ricky's going to do this, now he can pick up the ball deep, advance it, get it to Marco, get back in position, and there's so many more attacking options. So it was great not seeing Riqui having to carry the kind of like you said, the conducting role all by himself. Now Ricky's kind of like the setup man for the conductor. And I'm sure that we'll see different variations of their play. But I absolutely loved what it allowed Riqui to do and kind of not do at the same time, which was having to do everything for himself. And you're right. Yes. Conductor extraordinaire, Marco Reus. He just, like I said, he just slowed everything down, man. He's like, hey, we're going to play at my pace now.
Just to play off that analog one last time, and I'm going to leave you guys with this. So I even wrote Rob as part of that, because I was like, oh, this is an interesting concept. Like I want to build on this. So we're both music buffs, so you'll get this. And I compare this to like Riqui is sort of the leader of like a jazz ensemble, and Marco is like the leader of a classical symphony, if you know what I mean. So like jazz, as we know, is all about improvisation, right? It's all about improvising. It's fast, it's snappy, but it's improvising, and that comes with risks, right?
Exciting,
like someone someone can do a key change and like totally mess everyone up. Someone can hit a wrong note, right? Because it's all improvised. There's no sheet music. Like it's just whatever it is, right? It's a freedom of self-expression. Versus Marco, like classical music is not improvised. It's pre-written, it's calculated, it's organized. It's a little slow. It can be even boring, right? At times, but it slowly builds up to this amazing crescendo. And my God, when it does, it works, right? So again, apologies for the music puns, or if you guys are music buffs, you probably get that, but that's kind of how I see it. But them two working together in tandem is something else. And I think they will learn a lot from each other this season. And I can't wait to see that midfield partnership moving forward.
It's going to be gangbusters, man, when they're clicking and they're understanding each other. But we already knew that the Galaxy were good offensively. They're one of the best offensive teams in the league. I mean, RUIZ is just going to add to that. However, we already know where their weaknesses lie. So, I mean, I'm just going to bring you a quote from Greg himself. Post game, and I love Greg for this because he keeps it real, even in the haze of a wonderfully charged evening with a debut, with a home win, being in first place. He still keeps things in perspective. He says, collectively, you can see what we have, some incredible attacking pieces. It's going to be our collective defending that is going to determine it for us. That's the thing that while our group loves to attack and has some really beautiful attacks, we all have to really grind and lift up and roll up our sleeves, and every one of us has to be ready to defend and compete on the defensive side, because that's what's going to be important as we play some of these teams that are also strong in the attack, but defend well. Teams that are hard to score against and then have transitions that are powerful, those are the teams that we've got to be able to take care of business on the defending side. So, Ananda, in the spirit of all that, what do you think the biggest key to the Galaxy improving defensively is?
Yeah, just like what Greg said, and he took the words right out of my mouth. And he's been talking about this a little bit, but previously, I'm going to use this word. So to answer your question directly, team defense. That's what he called it. I remember he called that in preseason. He called that in the beginning of the season, team defense. And what he meant by that was what you said in your quote. It's about how we collectively defend as a team. And that's the key to success for this team. Because you know why? And not for anyone's fault, but the way this team is constructed roster-wise, we don't have a lot of guys that, win a lot of tackles, get stuck in all the time. Like we have a couple, like Gaston, Sergio, Mark, right? They can do that. But so then that means that the key to this team and how we win on the defensive end is sort of by controlling the game, possession, being smart in the possession, right? But then also, Greg, I don't know if you said in your quote, but he talked about this idea of counter-pressing and having our counter-press be better. And by the way, guys, counter-pressing just basically means, it's a fancy term for, if you lose the ball, you get it back right away. It's sort of that Barcelona, like La Masia style, that Guardiola style, the thing that made them so famous. They would get the ball back in like 3 to 5 seconds, right? And so it's how we manage those transition opportunities by counter-pressing and winning the ball back in certain areas of the pitch. So I think all of that. But here's the other thing, man, and I'm going to bring this up because I heard a really, really interesting thing that will sort of harken back to the old days. And this is coming from the great man himself, AJ De La Garza, who spoke about this, Rob, in the Corner of the Galaxy live pod. And I think there needs to be a little bit of this mixed into some of that sort of team defending idea, which is he talked about Bruce, and Bruce always telling them that the only instructions he would give them tactically is go ahead and win on your duel. You win all your duels, you will win this game, right? Win all of your individual duels, win all of your individual battles. So to that perspective, I think teams against teams like LAFC, like Colorado, Columbus, etc., I think we're going to have to win some of those duels, man, because team defending is only going to get you so far. But at a certain point, like the rubber meets the road and you got to win some of those tackles. You got to win some of those duels, right? So I think I'm interested to see how that progresses too throughout the year as well.
That's a sound strategy. Win all your duels, you win the match. It makes sense.
That's Bruce, man. That's Bruce.
That makes sense. Bruce was also a very much like FD analytics kind of guy, and now it's a little bit of a different world. But I mean, Bruce, I can imagine him just looking at AJ, just like, go win on your duels. We'll win. We'll be fine. I love hearing the Galaxy, reporters that have been around for a little while, like Damien and Scott and Josh, talk about Bruce and how surly he was. But anyway, defensively, the Galaxy, it's no secret that they got to improve if they want to win anything this year. But they have improved over last year. But I think if you were to ask Greg, he would say that there's still room to improve. They're 7th in clean sheets this season. Only 5 teams have more at the moment. They have 7 at the moment. 7 at the moment. 9th best defensive record in the league with 1.3 goals conceded per game. So we're in the top 10, but we're not in the top half of the top 10. So more room to grow and to make improvements, really. Ananda, I don't think it's any secret that the moment of the match was Royce's introduction and just what he did to the team, to the place, to the atmosphere. Like Greg said, they had started to wonder if it was going to happen. I mean, JP had missed a penalty, and it was still 0-0.
That's right.
We just glossed over that, but it has happened in several occasions now. Greg said it's unacceptable, something that they'll address. So they're 0-0. Marco Reus comes in. It's they're wondering, is it going to happen? And yes, it did happen. He came in, he lifted the mood, he brought the victory home. And yeah, man, that's easily the moment of the match. We had 4 candidates for defending the badge: Riqui, Puig, Marco Reus, Maya Yoshida, John Nelson. The 2 defenders, took part in the shutout here. Maya, he completed 98% of his passes, 3 clearances, 1 team high 8 possessions, and 3 interceptions. John Nelson won 5 possessions, created 1 chance, and completed 95% of his passes. Riqui Puig scored the first goal of the match. He made the MLS Team of the Match Day bench. He completed 89% of his passes, 5 dribbles, won 11 duels, 3 fouls, and had 2 interceptions. But despite his good match, Michael Reus easily won defending the badge this week. The people have spoken. I mean, he was mine, Ananda. I don't know who, if anybody, you had differently, but I mean, it was, for me, just super obvious this week. It was Marco Reus. I mean, 28 minutes played as a second half substitute, a goal and an assist. He's the first player in club history to have a goal and an assist off the bench in their regular season debut, the 20th player in Galaxy history to score on his debut for the club, and the 20th player in team history to register an assist in the first career appearance. For that, he wins his first defending the badge. Marco Prince Reus with 89% of the vote. Yeah, that's his first one, man. 1 game, 1 win. Congratulations to him.
And he also got Team of the Match Day along with Maya, who made the bench. So, and Riqui, as well.
Oh man, I didn't even see that.
Maya made the starting 11. Riqui made the bench. My bad.
Oh, Maya, my bad. I didn't even see that he made the starting 11. So sorry, Maya. So sorry, birthday boy. So that's 3 Galaxy players in the team of the week. Remember last year where we would go like stretches of like a month with no Galaxy players and even just like making the bench. Now it's 2 starters and a player on the bench, and a couple of times this year we've been like, wow, so and so got snubbed super hard. Just a testament to the Galaxy and their year so far.
I was gonna say, before we wrap it up real quick, Rob, I want to react to some of these comments in chat because they're really good. And it kind of got me thinking. So Victor says, if defense wins championships, you just got to find that sweet spot with the offense and balance. And that's it, right? And I think that's Greg with his comments around the team defense, around the counter press. This is going to be a big year for Greg. If I'm not mistaken, contract year, Rob. Am I misspeaking?
I believe so.
Because they were talking about this in Corner of the Galaxy and saying,
what a year to win the 6th Cup, right?
Well, that too, but this is a big year for Greg, right? And but there seems to be a lot of support for Greg, which is good to see. But it's going to be interesting, the job that he's going to do, given that the roster that he has, of how he solves those defensive issues. Like, what is the best way for this team to defend? So that will be interesting for me as a tactics nerd and stuff. And then here's the other thing. This is an interesting one. Raul G, what's up, Raul? He says, good to see a banger of a shot from Riqui again. He's a threat, big. He's coming in or open from the top of the box. Two things I want to say about this. One is the weight of the pass at Marco Reus. How many times have you seen this season when we get in that similar position and like we sort of fluff our lines, we get nervous, like, you know, there's no composure there.
Final ball is terrible.
Marco lays off the perfectly weighted, like little soft pass, and all Riqui had to do was just lace it, right? Like hit it with the sort of the top of his foot or the bottom of his foot and sort of curl it in. And the good thing about the second thing I always say about this is you're going to see this in reverse. So again, if you guys watch the tactics video, you see Marco Reus getting into the positions that Riqui does. So I'm excited to see the reverse of this because, man, Marco can lace it as well from the top of the 18. His technique is uncanny when it comes to finishing. So look for that as well.
I can't wait to see them both just kind of like
yeah,
play off of each other in those tight spaces. You know, him.
Fortunately, not next game, but yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, when you have, you know, people that are really good on the ball, like, you know, Gabriel and Riqui Puig and Marco Reus. It's like, can you imagine all three of them just like in a tight little spot and you know, just coming out roses, and all of a sudden the Galaxy have a shot on goal and a goal.
Rob, I'm glad you reminded me about Gabriel. We haven't even mentioned his name once on the show, right? But I'm going to say this about Gabriel. We talked about how Reus is going to open up the game for Riqui. I think he's actually going to open up the game more for Gabi. Why? Because I think now teams are starting to see that, hey, this is a player. Like we got to double down. We got to bring our wingers down, bring our defensive men down. We've got to double them up, right? But now if you see a playmaker with Marco Reus on that same side, like we saw in this game, you can't double Gabi. You got to step up to Reus, because otherwise he's going to make the play, right? So I think this is going to actually open up more opportunities for Gabi. You saw that a lot. He was streaking down that right side, going 1v1, and that's what he loves to do, man. Take the samba out, bring that bossa nova out, and just start dancing in the box. And that's what he did towards the end of that game. So I think it's going to be interesting to see now Marco Reus's impact on Gabi Peck and see if he goes to the next level as well. So that's cool, man. He just makes all these players better. It's insane.
Well, we'll get a chance to see a micro of that on Sunday against St. Louis. I like this comment from Victor B. Oh, your head was in the same place I was at.
Yeah.
He, and you know, to more on Vanney here. If we come up short, not winning anything this year, do we really move away from Vanney? He did build this team, and these EPs are signed through 2025. Victor, I don't know how to tell you this, but there are folks out there who would argue that Vanney has nothing to do with the team's success this year. Not I, but there's Vanney Bluebirds out there that will say Vanney didn't get the best out of this team at all. Didn't, you know, get this team to gel with new signings. That he hasn't put together a bunch of different winning runs. That he hasn't gotten over the hump on a couple of different occasions against Seattle, against SKC. Again, Victor, were you to believe these folks, Greg Vanney has nothing to do with anything the Galaxy are doing this year. So I can only answer this the way I would approach things if, for whatever reason, Greg Vanney does not win MLS Cup this year. And I'm going to be completely candid. I believe the Galaxy do have the ability to win MLS Cup. I don't think they are going to win MLS Cup because everybody knows what their big Achilles heel is, which is their defense. And so far, kind of had to exploit it. So prove me wrong, Galaxy. But yeah, I would keep him. I mean, he's had you know, 2 transfer windows under Will Kuntz in which to actually do something really good, and he's produced, and he has players now that can play his system. And if you go away from the horse that's leading you at this point, I mean, who knows if a coach is going to come in and be like, I want this player, I want to play this style. Yep. So I think at this point, you say Greg Vanney, if you don't win a trophy this year, and of course you got to look at the situation too. But if you say Greg Vanney, you didn't win a trophy this year, but all this other things you did to progress this team, then you got to keep him.
Yeah. Well, two things, right? 2 points, Rob. Number one is, and this is a question. Is he in the running for Coach of the Year? He's got to be, right? He's in the conversation. Whether he'll win it, I'm not sure, right? Yeah. Whether he'll win it, I'm not sure.
If you were to believe certain people, he didn't do anything.
Yeah, but
if you were to believe certain people, he's not even coach of the team. It's Will Kuntz.
Okay, Let's talk to people in chat and all of our level-headed folks here out in the ether. Objectively
I got
speaking,
a little passionate on that one a little bit.
Objectively speaking, he's in the conversation, right? I don't even know if he's gonna win it. I mean, Nancy's up there.
For Nancy is probably gonna win that.
He's up there, of course. But he's in the conversation. So that's point number one. Point number two is let's assume, I'm gonna make this assumption. Let's assume that last year was a scratch and last year didn't count, which by all means, like it really amongst the boycott and all this other stuff, man. Last year was a wash, right? Let's assume that to be. Remember, guys, he was a 1 minute away from I would say a silly Koulibaly defensive mistake away, unfortunately, away from advancing in the MLS Cup, right? Western Conference Final or MLS Cup Final. I can't remember now. But he was just one play away, like literally one play away. So I think he deserves a shot, right? And that's all I'm going to say.
Well, let's see how the rest of this year plays out. 7 games left here in the season. So let's look at where the Galaxy are right now. They are 15-7-5 through 27 matches, 52 goals for, 36 against. So far, this has been Greg Vanney's best point total in his LA Galaxy career. He's on 52 points. His best previously was 50, and he still has 7 matches to get more points. Galaxy are first place in the Western Conference, 5 points ahead of rivals LAFC and 8 points ahead of RSL. The Galaxy are kind of at a disadvantage here on this, in that LAFC have 3 games in hand. RSL has 1 game in hand. However, they are second in the Supporter Shield, 4 points behind leaders Inter Miami. Miami has 1 game in hand at the moment. The Galaxy are averaging 1.93 points per game. And man, they're I didn't really think that the Galaxy would be here in first place. The first time they tasted first place this season, people went nutty, and it didn't really last long. And we said, well, where are the Galaxy going to be at the end of the year? It's not the end of the year yet, but we're getting there. It's the stretch run, and they're still in first place. So they're making a believer out of me. Hopefully they're making a believer out of you. Ananda, do you have anything to add before we get on out of here and we wrap this one up?
As always, I'm going to leave last word to chat. By the way, chat, some really, really good points from everyone. So awesome. But I'm going to leave this one. GCam, since you are the man of the hour, so no ill will against Vanney. Like it or not, he's part of the coach. I'm assuming he meant coaching staff. And in part responsible for the team's successes, the other part in the execution by the players. I love this balanced take. And this is what I've always sided to this, right? Which is it's when the team wins and when the team loses, everybody's got to take credit, right? Because Vanney and the coaches, they are the ones that get the team prepared and they game plan and they're responsible for their preparedness. But then in the end, the players got to execute. Remember, Rob, I remember this last year when we did the whole courtroom with Judge Sophie, I said, the manager doesn't cross the white lines, the players do. Right. And once you cross the white lines, that's it. It's all in the players. It's for them to execute the game plan. Now, we can argue as fans, as journos, as whatever, that the game plan is crap. But if there's not the players to execute the game plan and the players just can't do it, then what are you to do as a coach? Right. So very, very balanced point and fair point there by GCam. And yeah, man, I think this is going to be a team effort to hit that #1 seed in the playoffs, which, man, I would love all the games to be at the Digs. Like, imagine the Digs being a fortress this year and all those playoff games at home.
First round bye as well. First round bye.
Exactly. And secondly, yeah, and to get that MLS Cup, like it's got to be a team effort, 100%.
Yeah, and we'll leave you with this, guys. We have a couple of things here coming up. The Galaxy are on the road this weekend away to St. Louis on Sunday. 9-1. This one is an early match. It's at 11:45. So go ahead and get to your brunches or get your coffee and curl up on the couch and watch this early match. It's not a lot of opportunities to watch the Galaxy and have some breakfast or brunch. So take advantage of this one, guys. Of course, we will have a St. Louis preview for you on Thursday, August 29th at 9 p.m. And then, guys, we haven't said it enough, but we need to say it more. please look out for that latest Los Gatacticos video, which El Profe, Alex Reus, and Anandita Kirana go ahead and break down this new signing of Marco Reus. I mean, Ananda.
I think I plugged it to death already, but it's just funny. Like a lot of these topics that came up today, we talk about it a lot in that video. So hope you guys enjoy it. Definitely give us some feedbacks, put in the comments, and answer the question too, guys. Is Marco Reus the perfect signing for the Galaxy? It was interesting, Robert. I think my answer is a little different now after game one than it maybe was when we recorded it. But nah, man, it was super fun, and hope you guys enjoy that one.
Yeah, guys. Until we're with you again, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing in some LA Galaxy soccer and things that are happening in Galaxylandia. Your LA Galaxy are still in first place, 7 games left in the season. The stretch run is coming up. The vibes are high. Marco Reus has debuted, and the Galaxy have a real shot at going deep in the playoffs. And like you said, Ananda, if they have home field advantage, the sky's the limit. I know that everybody at the digs is going to do their damnedest to make sure that they push the team forward. So until we meet again, chat, which will be after this St. Louis match, go ahead and support your Galaxy early. Man, one thing left to say. You know what it is, Ananda?
Hit it.
G's up!
Raquinho.
Raquinho. Tú y yo.